What up, guys? Welcome back to the show. This is Late Night Live, episode 8. And we are live on YouTube. We're on Twitch, and we should be on X as well, Twitter. And we got some great guys with us. Asa Jax, as always. Dude, how you been, Chris?
Good week. Lots of game information this week.
It looks like you're outside of like a mental hospital or something. Like what?
Yeah, I thought I'd do a little ghost hunting this week, you know.
Holy moly. And it's light outside where you are, so you must be like.
I don't like to go during the night. It's scary at that point, so you know.
We got 8-bit gaming legend Dathan.
What's up? It's been a long week. I'm training for a marathon, so my body's sore, but it is what it is.
Nice. That's awesome. What can I ask? What marathon you're doing?
Oh, it's just a half, just the Shamrock.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It sounds awesome. The idea sounds awesome, but when you're actually in it, it's not awesome.
Do you have a target? Right. What's your target pace for this one?
I don't know. I think as long as I can finish every half marathon under 2 hours, then I'll be satisfied.
Sure. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I used to run track and field and cross country.
Right.
So
that's right.
I know how that goes, but I haven't done any like marathons. But the one I hear everyone do is Hood to Coast.
Yeah, that's pretty popular.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Well, good for you, man.
Thank you.
And then tonight we got a newbie. Everybody, this is Eric. Eric is one of my longtime buddies from high school. He was a year older than me.
Still am.
Yeah. Hopefully he still is. And like, I just remember Eric was like the super cool kid at school. Like he reminded me of the Fonz on like Happy Days. Like he had the leather jacket. He was always doing the cool stuff. Like he knew everybody and knew how to talk to everybody. I remember he used to do like swing dancing with all the pretty girls. He's the man about town. You know, everyone loved to be around him. Extremely intelligent.
I don't know about that either. Really, what it was is I had an older brother. My brother was a senior when I was a freshman, so he introduced me around. That's really and he had the cool car that I inherited, and the leather jacket was his. Really, is mostly my brother got me in high school. I was just riding on his coattails.
Hey, and whatever it did, it worked. So,
but see now you get to go to a Transformers convention in Washington every year with me and Chris.
So that's how cool I am now.
At a high school gym. I mean, your stardom is skyrocketed.
Yeah. CyberCon.
Yes.
2024. Everybody go.
Yep.
Awesome. And then, so how did you guys meet, Dathan and Eric? How did you guys?
This would have been late 2000, early 2001.
I think that would have been around 2000, 2001-ish, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I applied to the Cheap Theater, as it was affectionately known.
Yeah,
Springfield, Oregon, the $1.50 theater.
Yep.
And Dathan was a manager there.
So. Oh, okay.
Yep, and the rest is history.
And that's
known him ever since.
The movie theater.
Yeah. The movie theater. Yeah.
So when you were at U of O?
Yeah, I was at U of O. I needed a summer job to help pay rent. So
I do remember when you worked for the movie theater here in town.
I went from that theater to the one in Salem. Yeah.
So so Dathan was a manager there.
Was he a good
manager?
He was intimidating. As I just remember meeting him and mostly just being intimidated because he seemed like so friggin' serious all the time.
That's debatable. That was so debatable back then.
Well, we learned it was just an act.
Was he there?
Once you let us get the standees for what was that rollerball movie?
Oh,
and do the wrestling moves through them.
Yep, you and Kevin, back in the day. That picture's somewhere.
Yeah. Once you let us pull off some shenanigans like that, I realized, okay, he's not serious all the time. He's just.
Was that the LL Cool J rollerball movie?
Yeah,
for sure.
I think Chris Klein back in the American Pie heyday. I think that's that's when it was.
I forget what we did, but it was like I chucked Kevin through this standee, and it had a big poster, front to it that he just tore right through. And I don't know, we were just doing wrestling moves on these things. It was fun.
See, if you had done that now, you could have recorded that and put it on YouTube, and it would have gone viral.
If we did that now, we'll pull a hip flexor, man. We're not the men we used to be.
No.
It's all about how you feel. So you guys are doing good.
Age just a number.
Yeah,
exactly. Hanging in there.
So anyway, guys, we're going to talk about video games. It's been another busy week in the news for video games. I had a big Nintendo Direct. Guys,
I'm out of the loop on that one. Is that what they're calling it? Nintendo Direct?
Yeah, well, it was the partner Direct. So Nintendo didn't really announce any first party new titles. At least I don't think they did, but a lot of their third party publishing partners had a little some trailers for some of their new games. Chris, Dathan, what did you guys think? This was back on Wednesday. Dathan gave me the heads up he was even coming on. Like, I was like, he messaged me out of the blue that it was coming on. I was like, oh, sweet.
The only thing that really stood out was Contra. Everything else was kind of on the wayside, and I played the demo for a while, and it was fun. It was good.
But I played the demo too. Did you beat that first level?
Yeah. It's like the first level of Contra, the very first Contra, like the first 3 is what it is, pretty much, or first 2. But
now,
it was good.
What system did you play it on?
I played it on the Switch, and I played it on handheld. I didn't play with a Pro controller, which I probably should have. Probably would have been a little bit better controls with it, because playing with the bumpers and everything on the Switch, it was a little off for a run and gun shooter. So I'll give the Pro controller a try, see how it is with that.
Okay. Me and my son played it on Xbox today, and I saw a lot of negative reviews and impressions of the game on Switch. It seems like everyone was playing it on Switch, like that it was janky and that there were frame glitches and the animations were kind of off. On Xbox, it seemed like it ran really smoothly. In the details, it says it runs at 60 frames per second. I have no way to test that, but it seemed like it was smooth. And playing with my 5-year-old son, it gave him a good challenge, so we enjoyed it. So I think that game's coming out pretty quick.
I think it's next month. Their limited run games is doing a physical copy, and it's supposed to come out in September to October, I think. But limited run games, you can buy something and then you won't see it for 2 years, and then it'll just show up.
Right.
But they're the only
don't buy the collector's edition anymore.
Yeah.
Like that, you won't see that for absolutely 2 years.
Yeah, but I think of all the games that were on the Direct, I'm just gonna pick up Contra, and that's pretty much it. I wasn't impressed by anything else.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Chris,
I plan on picking up Epic Mickey.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because Chris, your family used to have a video game store in town, and I remember going in there, and you guys always had a copy of Epic Mickey on the shelf for the Wii. And I could have sworn like you really enjoyed that game, and I don't think I've ever played it. And it looks like they just play in the trailer. It's just like a cinematic of the opening sequence. But can you tell us more? I mean, what if you're interested in getting that?
Yeah, that's one I plan on getting. And somebody had actually put up a side-by-side comparison video. So they've completely redone the cinematics and everything for the new one. It looks so much better than the Wii version did.
Okay. I saw it's THQ Nordic is doing it. I don't know if they've ever done a Disney property before.
No,
I might have to check on that. But
I'm trying to think who it was that originally did this. God.
Maybe it's not important. But I saw the game's $50. Is it worth $50?
Yeah,
and
I don't
it's
know
coming
if
to
it's
every
worth.
system.
Is it
I
just
don't know.
is it just a remake or is it a whole new game?
It's a remaster of
A remaster
the
of what I meant.
original one. So they've updated all the graphics. I don't know, because the original one was like motion control, so you used the Wii controller to actually do the actions. I'm sure they've probably had to change the way the controllers work and everything. But it was one that I saw and I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of excited to pick that one up. And then of course they dropped all the rare titles on the Nintendo Switch Online, so the original Killer Instinct game is on there now.
On this for the Super Nintendo version.
Yep.
I re-upped my Nintendo Switch Online membership just so I could play it, and it's okay. I played that. So in my the thumbnail for this video, I put in the background Snake Rattle and Roll, because I remember that game used to piss me off back in the day. I remember seeing it on the shelf, and I think I remember telling my dad, like, oh, I just want a game. And it was one of the cheaper games to get at the time. Oh, your brother's here. THQ Nordic are the wonderful peeps behind Destroy All Humans remakes and SpongeBob game remakes. They have a stellar track record for respecting the originals when remaking. Cool. Yeah, I have played the Destroy All Humans. Fun fact as well, Epic Mickey was made by the same creator as Deus Ex. It's such a good game.
Deus Ex.
Deus Ex.
Yeah, Deus Ex. Those guys did. If I'm remembering correctly, they did Thief too, a PC game back in the late '90s. That was pretty dope. Yeah.
So,
Looking Glass Studios, I think it was.
So that's cool. So yeah, I might check out Epic Mickey if you're really high on it, Chris.
Yeah. All those games that did drop for the Nintendo Switch Online are rare games too. So that probably goes in line with the announcement of Grounded from Xbox Studios and Pentiment.
No, they never did a rare collection for the Switch, did they? It was just Xbox.
Yeah, it's just on Xbox. These rare titles, they really expanded what they have. I don't think they've ever been on PlayStation before, announced anything for now, and then they've been with Nintendo before. I think Nintendo really wanted to get some of these rare titles in their Nintendo Switch collection, and they finally got them through Microsoft.
Yeah.
Did you, Chris? Did you see Endless Ocean Luminous?
Yeah. I never played the Endless Ocean on the Wii.
That looks cool.
I was kind of surprised that they're doing a sequel to that one on the Switch. And then, of course, the Star Wars Battlefront collection with 1 and 2. You know, the good versions of Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, Dathan, you weren't interested in Battlefront?
Not really. I never played the original.
Okay. So they're fun.
Not too much interest.
It sounds like it's going to be you'll be able to play between every system, and maybe the graphics are a little improved. I think they're, maybe a little blocky back in the day. When did the first one come out? 10 years ago? More than that? 15 years ago?
The original one was on the PS2 and Xbox.
Okay, so maybe even more than that, but
so that would have been like 2005, 2003, somewhere around there.
So I'll definitely want to check that out. And there's another Star Wars game coming out next week, Dark Forces Remaster. Night Dive Studios is doing that one, so love me some Dark Forces. The Star Wars game I really want them to do are the those games that came out on the GameCube. Rebel Assault, was it Rebel? No, not Rebel Assault.
Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, those games look great.
I just picked up both of those recently. I haven't played them yet, but I'm looking forward to
I
it.
think
Yeah.
Rogue Squadron was a launch title for the GameCube, I think.
Right.
If I remember right.
It was so
And-
much fun to play back in the day.
It looked really realistic back in the day, like you were going into the Death Star, like no doubt.
Matter of fact, I just picked up the N64 version recently too.
awesome.
So.
Nice.
You got it in box.
I think I got. Didn't I
Yeah.
get you a deal on that?
Yeah, you found it for me. I was like, "This is what I want." And I was about to skip the booth that it was in, and you popped in there and found it, and then cut a deal with the guy.
Wow, wheeling and dealing for Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Dathan's my guy for that. I send him in. He's the negotiator.
Wow.
man.
Okay. Tell him you got a game you're looking for, and he'll get the job done.
That's right. So I wanted to ask you guys about these Nintendo Direct releases. It sounds like they're cross-platform. I mean, what's are there any exclusives, or these are all just cross-platform games?
I think
They're
yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
it's the partner direct. So Nintendo puts out, I don't know how many of these a year, but they do their Nintendo Direct partner showcases. So all the third-party companies that have games that are coming out on their systems, and they may be coming out on other systems too. They'll kind of showcase. They just do quick, short clips of each game, so you can kind of get a sense of what's coming out.
Yeah.
And they had enough that this one was like 26 minutes long for all the stuff they had coming out. But I think there's some of these games that sometimes were exclusive to a Nintendo system at one time and aren't coming out on something else. But almost all of these are like other systems are going to see them too.
The reason I'm asking is because it seems like even going as far back as like the Wii, right, or the GameCube rather, if it was a port from another, or if it was a game that was available on multiple systems, it seemed like the GameCube version or the Wii version or even the Switch version of these games that are multi-platform, it doesn't seem optimized for the Nintendo platform ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's always better to play it on the Xbox or PC or whatever. And I know that that's like Nintendo's MO is to give you kind of underpowered hardware that lasts a lot longer than other people's hardware and do more interesting things with it through accessories and whatnot. But yeah, it just never struck me as a super great idea to play a cross-platform game on Nintendo because it just felt not optimized for the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and the Switch is definitely the first time that I've felt there's a lot of these third-party games that I'm kind of like, like Epic Mickey's one of those that I look at and I go, well, the Switch has got the feature of you can just put it in power save mode and come back and pick right back up where you're playing. So if I want to play a game casually and I don't want to be like tethered to a TV, the Switch is the perfect system for that. And so I found myself with this generation of systems leaning more towards buying the Switch version of a game, even if it's inferior to Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah.
Because
I hadn't thought about that as an advantage, but that's a good point.
Because I don't have to sit there and be like, oh, hey, I have to wait for
get to a save point or get to a good stopping place or whatever. You can just sleep mode it. Do you think I haven't played with the Steam Deck yet either for that matter, but I imagine it has a similar feature.
Ryan would have to answer that one because I don't have a Steam Deck.
I got mine right here.
Yeah, does it do the same kind of thing? You can put it in a sleep mode and come right back to whatever game you're playing?
Absolutely. So it's really slick. I think as a publisher, and you got a video game you're coming out with, you want to get as many people playing your game as possible, and it is in your benefit to get it out on Switch because more people have that in the world right now than any other system. And I would love more stuff on Steam Deck to be on Steam. Well, there's a lot of stuff on Steam. The only thing I really see a lot of my buddies on Steam playing is pinball games. So that's what I've been mainly using it for. But it seems like everyone's got a Nintendo Switch. So
I think with a lot of these developers and these third-party games that are coming out, when I go to PAX, I see more games that are going to be available on PC and Steam than I do pretty much anything else. And there'll be a few games here and there that are going to be coming out to Switch or Xbox or whatever, but a majority of it is Steam and PC. Mm-hmm. From what I've seen.
Yeah. It seems like PAX is very heavy into the PC stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Steam has very much become like the way Nintendo used to be before they started doing the quality seals, where you could go into Steam and you can find so many like shovelware games when you're looking for like one game that you want to play. And it's unfortunate because Steam does have a lot of good games on there that you'd have no idea, but they have so much. I'd say it's kind of like looking at Netflix. You're looking for a show to watch or a movie, and there's just so much on there, and half of it is just garbage. It's a waste of time in most cases, and Steam's become such an easy way for people to put their games out on computer and access so many people that there's everything on there. And unfortunately, there's not enough time in the world for everybody to waste it on.
Well, Chris, good transition. You've been playing some more free trials on Steam right now. Looks like you were playing a game. I can't remember what the title is, and I'm sorry, but it's like you're a security guard or something in a museum. And
it's Seeing Things is the name of the game. It's
I watched your whole thing is like a half hour long, and you're moving from scene to scene in a not a library.
It was a museum.
A museum. And you're just seeing little things move or something, and you got to point it out.
Yeah,
that sounds fun.
Well, I have another series of games that I bought off Steam called I'm on Observation Duty, and it's like each one of them you're in a house and you have to try and report anomalies throughout the room. And I'm so terrible at noticing things change that it will pop up and be like, you've missed 86 anomalies. And I'm like, I didn't even see one.
I think you did a pretty good job. Like I was looking at it, it's like, man, did that picture move? I was like looking at it. It's like, and there's that one part, like there's an apple on the ground and you totally noticed that it moved like 6 feet to the left or whatever. It's like, oh, yep, there's something going on right there.
Yeah,
this is like a 21st century version of the highlights magazine. We spot the difference between the two things. Okay, yeah, I play that. That sounds fun.
Yeah,
and that's totally a game. Like I don't see that going on Nintendo Switch or whatever. That's totally something on Steam because you need a mouse and you need to be able to like study this in detail here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good one. And then, of course, this week they announced the DLC for Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
My buddy Greg at work told me about that. Shout out, Greg, if you're watching. He says this is going to include a lot of Millennia background stuff that they couldn't include in the first game. Full disclosure, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I haven't played Elden Ring. This is just what I was told to say about it because everybody knows.
Like
Millennia.
When I played Millennia, I needed 2 other people to fight with me. And I finally beat her. Like I must have played her 100 times. I couldn't beat her by myself, but eventually you get your fingers or whatever, your other players to come fight with you. Finally took her out. But apparently, what I'm hearing in this DLC is the bosses are going to be just like Millennia. There's going to be like 10 of them or something, and you're going to have to. I'm intrigued. I'm definitely going to have to remember how to do all my moves. Hopefully, my character that I beat the game with goes right over, and it's still, I did it on Xbox. Hopefully my save game is still there and it'll port right over. So if it doesn't, I'm going to be pissed. But Chris, are you picking that one up? Chris, you were looking at the collector's edition, you were telling me too.
Yeah, I was looking at the collector's edition, which comes with the statue of Mesmir the Impaler, 40-page hardcover art book, an original soundtrack. It's actually got 2 different soundtracks apparently, and then a bonus gesture. I don't know what the bonus gesture is. But I was looking at it, and then I looked at that price, and I was like, "Nah, I'll feed my family for a couple weeks."
No, yeah.
But yeah,
just give us a physical copy of the game, of the DLC. Like, I would get that.
I bought the original one on both Steam and the PS5. I'd originally bought it on Steam. I was going to play it on my computer, but the PC version of it is so laggy that your character, you can be like running, and then your character will suddenly stop, and then he'll try and catch up to where he's supposed to be. And so then trying to like fight enemies became a
I remember when it launched and there was a total communication online about how which version was better, like Xbox versus PlayStation. Seemed like one of them you'd load in and it wasn't quite loading right, or you had to wait. But hopefully by now they've optimized it. So I'm sure those guys, they got a big paycheck with all the sales they got from that game. And
they got they put 28.7 million copies sold now at this point.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's, as far as the Dark Souls series that From Software has put out, Elden Ring has been their most accessible version that they've had as far as getting people to play it and everything. Prior to this, I think Dark Souls 3 had like maybe 10 million copies that sold its lifetime. So, you know.
So that's cool. That's June, I believe. June 20th or something like that. So be a good summer. And I'm expecting too, Dathan, like that's going to be around the same time as NCAA football comes to console.
I hope so. I'm like, every day there's something new on Twitter about it, that they're starting to get the players that are signing into the NIL thing, and so I'm sure by then we'll have a whole group of, you know, the players, and we'll know more.
You get $600 and you get a free copy of the game if you're a player. So might as well sign in, man. Unless, I don't understand why you wouldn't.
Maybe I should go try out for a college sport team now.
You do pickleball? What are you gonna do?
But they're not gonna have the coaches are just gonna be default NPCs, right. And if you try to make a player that opted out and decided not to do it, then they're gonna block it. Like they won't let you proceed making the player.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I'm sure there'll be somebody that'll go on there and not want to put their name and likeness out there, and it'll be interesting to see what EA does with it. But I'm picking that up day one.
Yeah, I heard that. I think Chris Fowler said that he's been working for the last 2 years doing voiceovers on stuff. So that's good.
Yeah, hopefully it's good. I saw the Jesse Palmer is going to be in it, the guy from The Bachelor. That's what I would know him from. Seems like, or he's on those Food Network cooking shows. So, and Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah, Kirk will be there.
I guess he was in the ones back in 2014 or before then. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So I think that June I'm expecting Elden Ring, and then probably that game coming out. Like, oh man, that's gonna be rough. So
lock yourself in the garage for a couple days.
Yeah,
family can see you later.
No, exactly. Yeah, like I don't have a family anymore. Just like I'll see my wife. I'll see you next month, honey.
Yeah.
Just live stream yourself. DoorDash, Grubhub,
Yeah.
Whatever you need.
Well, yeah. If you like, I don't understand. That's just total sidebar, but there's like people on Twitch that do that. Like they're on Twitch all day. Like I don't know. Yeah, when do you have time to go to the bathroom? When do you have time to do things?
I believe the
don't.
phrase is "touch grass," right? Go
Right.
outside.
Absolutely.
Bathroom. Who needs that?
I mean,
You
games
just
are
cut a
fun,
hole
but-
in your chair. Put a
I mean,
bucket underneath.
just watch the South Park, the World of Warcraft South Park.
Oh,
Where they're sitting there for 13
Still
hours.
relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. No, I think the trick is you just get some of that those adult diapers. Depends, right, Chris? That's what you wear, right?
yep, all the time.
Like, yep, we're gonna beat Melania tonight. I'm not getting up.
That's right.
Chris has never known defeat.
Nope, I haven't. Just because I put on cheats and make it so they can't hurt me.
Oh, brother. Yep.
It's easy mode. As you get older, you put on the diapers, go out there, and people don't question it. They're just like, yeah, he's got dementia. It's okay.
It's fine.
Well, again, the total sidebar, but like you see guys that have to stand outside for the ball dropping in New York City on New Year's Eve. That's what they do. There's no bathrooms. There's no public bathrooms in New York City. Try to walk around there with a million.
Not for whatever, a million people out there. Yeah.
No,
what are you going to do?
They're not going to let you use the bathroom. So you have to have some kind of way to either hold it or figure out a way to yeah. So
no, not worth it. Not worth it.
Anyway.
No, the backpack doesn't smell. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
So just to transition here, hard transition away from bowel movements. I was reading some news about the DICE Awards and Baldur's Gate 3 winning and Larian devs having some stuff to say. Did you guys come across any of that info?
I am still waiting to play Baldur's Gate 3, so I'm still waiting on my physical copy.
Yeah. What I thought was super interesting is apparently at other award ceremonies they weren't given any platform to talk, but at the DICE Awards they were, and the devs were really railing against the industry, right? The games industry as a whole. They said stuff like, I took some notes here for this.
Dude, you're awesome.
They said, we ask you to pay one price only for the game, and that's it. You can own it for the rest of your life. Clearly talking about like microtransactioning people out of their money, right? And that, as kind of a retro guy, that totally resonated with me because I am, anytime somebody wants me to buy a game pass or a battle pass or a microtransaction or whatever this stuff is with, skins or whatever, especially if it doesn't even add any utility to the game, I'm out. Like, I'm not interested. And so for me, it was real breath of fresh air to hear a big studio, or what is a big studio now, like Larian, say, we're not going to do it. One of the things that they were saying was like, yeah, it might help you in the short term, but what's going to make money in the long run is a good gaming experience for your customers, right? Make a good game, and in the long run, that'll get you money. Stop chasing this like short-term payoff.
They're old school. That's the way.
You're right.
That's the way games used to be.
And I guess one of the reasons they can do that, I heard, is they're still mostly a private company. Like Tencent, I think is the name, the Chinese company, has like a 30% share, but they can't really influence any of the decisions. So if the devs want to say this is the game we want to make, they're beholden to nobody but their own company. And so I think the financial structure of the company allows them to make those kinds of decisions, which is cool. And I think gamers like me we'll get back into big games again if that's the way it goes. Because I'm just not interested in paying $5 for a new gun or a new suit or whatever.
But to that end, to kind of go off of what you're saying, say that these developers, they make a game and it is fantastic. It's done. It's fantastic. They sell 50 million copies and fans love it. 10 out of 10. Everyone's loving it. All this stuff. And then fans want more. They want, can you make something else on this game? Can you add a $10 map? Can you add something, a different island or something that we can go to continue the storyline? So would that be acceptable? Would that be okay? I mean,
yeah, I'm not saying that there aren't trade-offs to the model of like, this is the game that we made, but in terms of adding on to the experience, 3 patch 4, I forget which one it was, but one of the more recent big patches did add on like a playable epilogue to the game that you could get like some more closure and storylines that the players felt like weren't wrapped up well enough in the original version of the game. So they did add a lot more playable experiences to the end of the game because players wanted it for free. They were like, oh, players want this. Here you go. No, granted, it wasn't, it was a few months after the initial release date, but, it's free. It's hard to complain about that. I'm no expert on where the line should be or, but for someone old school like me, it does feel like there's a prevalence of like predatory behavior on account of a lot of these companies to try and just squeeze kids in particular to just pay money, a lot of, over time, what would be a lot of money to these companies.
Well, it's chasing the money for a lot of them. I mean, live services have gotten huge since Fortnite really took off. And you have a live service there in Fortnite. It's a free game. You can play it without ever paying any money.
Right.
Or you can pay money, get skins and everything.
Yeah, the free
I've played it. It's fun.
Sure.
And it's because of the fact that it is a fun, well-made game. There is that sense of, oh, I want to see this continue, so let me go ahead and spend a little bit of money here and there to help it out. But other studios have looked at it. Most recently, Rocksteady with the Suicide Squad live service game. They charge you for it, and it's from everything I've seen, it's an awful game.
I've heard, yeah.
That game finally went down in price today. I saw it was like down to $56, down from 70. Like, oh, we're finally getting some traction here.
Well, it had less than 100 people playing it on Steam the other day.
Wow.
So, for a big game there, and Warner Brothers came out and said that it did not hit the mark that they wanted. So it's like you're trying to chase. There's like this sense of, oh, we need to chase the money instead of looking over here and going, hey, let's make a good story. Let's make a good game. Let's focus on the things that people want and are willing to pay for. They're looking at the money only, and they're saying, this is what we need to do in order to get that money, without realizing that if you do steps A through F, get your good story, get your good gameplay, meet all these other criteria, people are going to come along with the money to buy that product.
Sure. And I'm not trying to like say that I have all the answers, of course. And the development of games is a real complicated thing. Developers are expensive, servers are expensive, hosting, bandwidth for that many players is expensive. I understand that there are ongoing expenses that these companies need to cover. But in the case of a game like Baldur's Gate 3, there's not really a massively multiplayer aspect to it. So a lot of those reoccurring expenses that you might incur in a game like Fortnite aren't there anymore. And so I think in a game like Baldur's Gate 3, the justification to keep charging money over time is a lot less. And another thing that popped into my mind is I think gamers, even gamers of my age, I'm 44, even gamers of my age have kind of lost sight of how cheap games are now. If you look at like the old flyers for like Toys R Us in like the early 90s, right? And then do the adjustment for inflation for what they were charging for Nintendo games, like when the Nintendo first came out, or Super Nintendo games. Even back then, it was like $55 in like 1992 bucks, right? That's pretty friggin' expensive now.
Don't give these guys any more reason to upcharge.
I'm just saying. I think people like lose sight of the fact that we're kind of in the golden age for how cheap games are. How many there are, how free a lot of them are. I mean,
it's not just that, but you go back and like the Nintendo 64 prices were all over the place. There was Ogre Battle 64, I believe. Toys R Us ad had it for $99, brand new. Wow. You know, so you look at that and you're like, wow, $99 brand new back in, you know, that was
1997 or 98.
Yeah. And then nowadays $70. Granted, there's not as many games out there nowadays that you can sit there and go, well, yeah, I'll pay $70 for this. It's worth it. But it also is it's kind of a ironic thing when you hear people saying, you know, I paid $60 for this game and it gave me 20 hours of gameplay and content, and it just wasn't worth it. But
when you do the math,
I paid $20 to go see this movie that was an hour and a half long, and it was absolute garbage, but I felt like I got my money's worth. And it's like, wait, how do you get your money's worth out of a garbagey film for an hour and a half, but yet 20 hours for $50? Right. You're like, you know, and then if it's a family you're taking to a movie, and it's like, yeah, I just spent $100 to take my family to go see Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and it was enjoyable. My kids loved it and everything, but they wanted this game over here for $60, Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario Party. I don't want to spend that on that, you know, just because I'll get hours of entertainment out of it. It's gamers are a funny bunch of people sometimes when it comes to like what
fickle people
what they're going to love. But I was going to say to your point about like back in the day, Diablo 2, when they put out their DLC, you know, it came as a secondary expansion. You paid extra for it, but it gave you more for the game and everything. And like
StarCraft expansions the same way.
Yeah. I kind of wish that a lot of companies would go back to that model. Release a complete game for me. And then if you want to add more to it, release as an expansion.
$20-$30 as an expansion. Yeah, I think that might be the answer to your question, Dathan.
Yeah.
I didn't have any qualms about buying the expansions to Warcraft or StarCraft, or
because when it comes to the season passes and stuff, I don't buy those unless an example is the Assassin's Creed series, one of my favorite series, and I will buy all the statue editions, the legendary platinum best thing ever editions, and those come with season passes, and I'll go with those. But as a side thing, I'm not going to spend an extra $30 to $40 to go on further from there.
Yeah. You know, what would be, I think, because I'm kind of a data nerd, what would be interesting for me to see is kind of how the economies of scale work here, because, you know, 40 years ago, the Atari was basically the only home system you could get, and not everybody had one, right? Because they were expensive and new, and video games were a new concept, and, you know, so the high price for those cartridges was kind of more understandable. It was a niche kind of product. But as gaming has become huge, you know, everybody says that games make more than movies and music industry combined now. So now games is like a massive industry. So does that mean there are more players and the amount you charge can be less per copy and you can still get whatever revenue you need? Or is it that, like I was saying earlier, there's the diversity in the field is so wide now, so many different platforms and so many publishers, and you can publish direct to Steam, and there's so much competition now that the prices need to go up in order to recoup the cost. Like I don't know what the numbers, how it pencils out anymore in this like new era of gaming. But if anybody knows, I'd be curious.
Yeah, we don't know those numbers really, but I think give these guys any excuse to up the price. I think they will, and gamers are going to bitch about it. I remember going back to Elder Scrolls. Like, did you guys buy that horse armor that was like $5?
I was just going to bring that up. That was the very first DLC that ever came out for 360, and it was just this gold armor.
Yeah, they went nuts over that, and it wasn't just that one. I think Elder Scrolls did other ones after that, but man, there was so much backlash after that, and now all these companies, they've gone nuts with it. Just like watching my kid with Roblox, seeing all the things that he could possibly buy in Roblox, it's insane. And these people are making Roblox games. Every game's got some kind of hook where they want you to buy something, and that's how this new generation's looking at things. Like, I need that instant gratification. I need that clothing.
Yeah, they were raised with these microtransactions, right?
Yeah,
and
we're not.
It's foreign to us. Yeah, it's foreign to us, but it's their air. That's what they swim in, right? And
Eric, Eric had a question. I don't think I've ever asked you this, but you're talking about the Atari days. Were you one of the lucky ones to open up ET on Christmas Day? back in the day, were you one of the lucky ones?
I was not, but my friend Jeremy was.
Oh.
And I remember going to his house to play it, and we could not figure out how to do anything.
You had to read the instructions. That was the other problem. All the Atari games had instruction manuals. Like, now games don't have that. But in the
there was
instruction manual, it would tell you how to beat it. And
we didn't get anywhere.
It's not intuitive. No.
Every video that I've ever seen, it's just like it just shows him falling in that sense.
You
got to build.
That's what I remember.
The whole thing is you got to build his spaceship so he can leave. So you got to find his spaceship parts.
We beat Adventure way faster than we got anywhere in ET. You know what I mean? And like, Adventure is not intuitive either.
Adventure was probably the best game they ever made for Atari.
Adventure was dope for sure. But best soundtrack, Journey.
Yep.
Journey soundtrack.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Yep. Best game, I really like Spider-Man was fun. I remember that being a lot of fun.
That was the first Spider-Man game they ever made, was Atari 2600.
Yeah, that one was fun. And River Raid. I don't know if you guys ever played River Raid. That game was dope too. Sorry, I'm going super retro on you.
No, that's all good.
But yeah, what Alecreen was saying, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name.
David. It's Chris's.
It's Alecreen is how he pronounces it.
Okay. What Alecreen was saying about the attention economy now, there's more players, but now there's more studios too, and that's like the 10, and there's only so many hours in the day. That's a zero-sum game, right? There's 24 hours, and how these studios are eking by with the prices they're setting. I'd be super curious if anybody's done any studies to figure out what like the optimal price of a game is, and how many people you need to sell it to in order to justify a developer team of this size, for example. Like, I have no idea what those numbers are, but it'd be real interesting to see.
There's a whole business behind it. I think, Sony is what I think of when like they want to have a great game when it releases, like the best reviews ever, put it out there. I think Final Fantasy VII, this new one coming out, man, it got some really great reviews and got a good word of mouth going about it. They put a demo out for it, so
Mhm.
people can actually play it. That's key. And
Is it a remake?
but like
Seven's a remake, right?
yeah, it's a remake, complete remake of Final
Sure.
Fantasy VII on PlayStation 1.
But I mean, even the economics of doing it that way, right? You don't have to pay a writer because you already have the script. You
Right.
don't have to pay at least for an original score, you can just update the score. The music's already kind of there. Um, so I wonder if that's like way more economical is to just do remakes, which maybe that's why there are so many remakes these days. And also you kind of get a sense for the audience already too.
You
Probably
gotta
predict better.
there's a distinction between remake, remaster, and I think what we're seeing a lot of is remasters, and this
Mhm.
is a remake because they're completely redoing the story. They're redoing
Oh, really?
a lot of things. So if you played the original Final Fantasy VII, like what was it? 4 years ago, 5 years ago, they released Final Fantasy VII remake, and the story completely changes from what the
Okay.
original
Yeah.
one was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why people
That's
are trying to
interesting.
avoid spoilers right now, because like
Sure.
could be certain characters that are dying off that didn't happen when the game released. I don't know when was back that 2000. No, it was earlier than that. It was like 1998, 1997.
Well, the original Final Fantasy VII would have been on the PlayStation.
Right.
Mhm.
I was thinking that was in high school.
Yeah. So
So
it's but it's there's a lot of terminology that's just being thrown together, and people are talking about completely separate things with this.
yeah,
So you've got some games like the Epic Mickey looks like it's a remaster
Mhm.
where they're not changing storyline.
Yeah.
They're not changing any of that. They may have to do a few adjustments. So maybe the cost to make that game is way lower than a
Mhm.
remake like Final Fantasy VII because
Okay.
they're redoing the soundtrack for it. They've rewritten stuff. They've got new lines in it. So it's
I wasn't aware of the distinction between the two remake and remaster. I did play the last one that I played, I think, was Grim Fandango, which was a PC game, LucasArts PC game back in the mid '90s.
They ported that to Xbox. I have a physical copy of that on Xbox.
Yeah,
I got through
the remaster is a lot of fun. The only thing I hate about that game is the inventory system, but everything else is perfect. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah.
Eric, you're an old school PC gamer. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I played X-Wing on my 286
Oh yeah,
back in the
well,
day. A lot of
you
X-Wing,
play TIE Fighter?
a lot of TIE Fighter.
Yeah.
what about Wing Commander?
Wing Commander was my first, probably space sim. I think that's right.
Did you buy into their new one that's been going on for what is it now? 18 years, 20 years. That's just seems to be a big old scam.
Yeah.
Let's raise as much money as we can, and maybe
That's
one
right.
day we'll release a game.
No, not interested. No, I think my first machine PC, I guess, if you want to call it, my first computer that I played games on was an Apple IIc, like a late '80s Apple machine. Played not Baldur's Gate. It was
Oregon Trail?
Oregon Trail, Bard's Tale, Castlevania. Or no, I'm sorry, it was Transylvania is what it was called.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah, we used to get a lot of those.
Getting lit. Thank you for joining, man. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth take place on the first disc of the original Final Fantasy VII. So yeah, the game's huge.
Dude, the last Final Fantasy I played, I think, was 3. So I'm way out of the loop on that.
Oh yeah, King's Quest.
King's Quest. Roberta
Space Quest.
But that wasn't on Apple II.
Roberta Williams.
Yeah, she's
those
brilliant.
are Sierra. The company
Sierra
did a huge line. They did like Space
Quest, awesome games.
Phantasmagoria. I think
Police Quest, Leisure Suit Larry.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah, funny stuff.
You know who owns the rights to all those now, right?
No,
Microsoft does.
Oh, I guess that
they
makes
got
sense.
it through the Activision
That's right,
Blizzard
because
merger.
they
Activision.
released
Yeah.
a King's Quest game, 4 years ago? I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. And I think Christopher Lloyd voices the main dude now.
It's not the same as the original point and click.
No,
from what I saw,
it's different.
But I think that still gives me hope. Like I would buy a remaster or whatever. Just do a straight port or something. Like you can buy some of them on Steam right now.
Yeah,
and they're pretty darn cheap.
Hero Quest was my jam, and that became
Heroes Quest 1.
Quest for Glory, right? Is how
they had to change the name because someone had
Milton Bradley. I had the board game, the original 80s board game called Hero Quest. I think that's why they got sued by Milton Bradley.
Right. Yeah, you could be a hero.
Incidentally, if you're a Hero Quest nerd, they re-released that too, so you can get an updated version of the board game Hero Quest if you'd like.
I played as the thief, and I was good at picking locks.
Yeah, thief.
And you joined the Thieves Guild. Yeah,
love those games. So much fun. Because back then it was point and click, but it was also like the commands you would type into the like parser at the bottom.
Absolutely. I learned how to type.
You would give it commands.
I remember playing Space Quest 2, and there's this point in the game where you're on the planet and you're in a cage and there's some creature. You need to steal the key or something. And I was like, I don't know, I was 8 or whatever. And you got to type it in quick, like take key, put key in lock. And like,
right.
I'm like, oh man, I gotta figure out how this works here.
But what was interesting to me in retrospect, I think, is that it made those games feel so much bigger than they actually were.
Right.
Because you could give it commands and it understood a small subset of the things that you would try. But the fact that you could try all of these things made the game feel really expansive in ways that I think modern games don't. They kind of, I think we've lost that in modern gaming. I'm hoping, like AI might be able to do this for real in the future, be able to actually understand what you mean and respond appropriately. But, 30 years ago, that was our best.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
approximation.
Pretty amazing programming. Great. There must have been someone working for Sierra that was just figuring out any type of command that someone could possibly type in to their prompt, and like, what would the player try to type in here? And the amount of testing they must have gone through that's insane. But they did it brilliantly.
If you take computer science in school, like CS class 3, second or third one, you end up writing programs like that, and you get a sense for how hard it is. But it's it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad they put in the time to do it, because it was some of my favorite memories are playing Hero Quest, man, or Quest for Glory.
Well, there's Sons of the Forest on Steam that they've actually, I think it's the first one I've played that they've introduced AI, so you can get like NPCs in the game and you use the AI to like tell them to do things. And it's kind of interesting. It's way more intuitive than a lot of the games have been lately. But
I think what I've heard is a lot of the companies are going to start using AI for dialogue when you're talking to an NPC. And you could have like a huge open world and you have thousands of non-playable characters you can just go up to. And like a game like Baldur's Gate 3, you have different dialogue options. You could go down completely different tangents, and you could have AI do a lot of that work for you as a programmer. That sounds really appealing. And not only that, you could possibly save on expensive labor to get a AAA game like that to come out, and you could maybe get a game like that to come out quicker. So
Sons of the Forest is 95% on Steam right now, positive rating. So it seems to be being really well reviewed.
Yeah, it's taken a lot from the Forest and improved it. But I was going to say that's the NPC choices in Baldur's Gate 3. That's the reason I have yet to beat the first chapter in it. Is because every time I make a choice, I'm like, I really wanted to see what would have happened today.
What happens?
So
Yeah.
I saved the game beforehand, and then I go back and I'm
Sure.
like,
Sure.
and then I look at it and I'm like, well, I've put
They don't
35
want you to play
hours.
like that.
I've played 35 hours in this game right now, but I've gotten maybe 5 minutes
Nowhere.
into it.
Yeah, no, yeah, but that's really one of the things I really appreciate about Baldur's Gate 3 is it did capture the sense that you are making trade-offs, like you do in a real role-playing game, because I played Dungeons and Dragons and have for years and years and years. And that's to me one of the appealing things about the pen and paper version of the game is like, oh, wait a second, do we believe this person and free her from jail, or is she lying to us and we tell the king what she just told, and you have to make these trade-offs, and you can't go back in time, and there's no save state, right?
Yeah.
There's no save state in your life, Chris.
Right. Yeah.
There is.
And so the stakes feel so much higher when you're playing pen and paper. And that's one of the things I did like about Baldur's Gate 3 is that it gave you a sense that, if you make this decision, you won't be able to go and change it unless you do the save scumming, which, I did several times myself, but
save scumming.
Not above it.
That's what that's called.
Yeah.
Chris, you're a save scummer.
I am. See, my first system that I remember playing was the Commodore 64, my uncle's, and it was he had Gremlins.
Oh, nice. I never played that one, but that's cool.
And so it was the first experience I remember playing a system. So it's definitely one of those old games that when people are like, I play on PC. Well, yeah, I played Commodore 64.
I played the right. You had to know the commands to like boot up the thing from the drive, and you couldn't just plug and play. I remember the sound chip being superior on the 64 relative to what I had at the time, that Apple II. The sound just sounded much better on a 64, even though it was a cheaper bit of hardware, but amazing machines.
Yeah.
It's been an hour, guys. Dude, Eric, thank you so much. You bring a wealth of knowledge. Maybe we even missed
this flew by. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that I didn't even get to talk to about. Let me just plug this real quick because it's one of my favorite games. Free Stars, the Urquan Masters is on Steam. Used to be called Star Control 2. Circa 1993. You don't need to play Star Control 1 in order to have any idea about what's going on there. I think it's Windows only platform right now, but one of my favorite games. Difficult, but definitely old school, but very fun. If you guys get a chance, check that out.
Yeah, Star Control. I definitely remember playing Star Control 1.
Yeah, it was on the Genesis. They had it. I ported it to the Genesis. I played it on PC myself, but Star Control, that was fun. It's like a early 90s version of Space War, which I think was the first video game ever made for the CDC-7, I think it was. If I'm remembering my
I'm going to have to
right.
go look up video of that one because I guarantee you I played that.
I mean, the box art is fantastic. It is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I mean, you have to get into it, but once you get over the learning curve, it's really fun. That's another game that feels really big. Like the space exploration in that game feels daunting, which is for early 90s. I think it was just a engineering feat. It's pretty cool. This was great. I love talking about this.
Dathan, I know you're the 8-bit gaming legend, so you're on Nintendo, but do you have any final thoughts for tonight?
No, it was great having Eric on here. He can take my place the next couple weeks because I'll be MIA. I am irreplaceable, so just remember that, and I am coming.
You can always check in. We can check in. I'll
be in the chat. I might jump in on the chat and
jump in. Yeah, that'd be great.
Say a few things. But yeah, it's good having you here. It's a good show.
Take some video. We want you to take some video, and I could play it in the live stream. You just got to send it to me. So
okay, Okay,
Do
we'll
it.
be at Emerald City Comic Con next weekend, and then I'll be at TF Con the week after that.
Nice.
Dude, you have to, you have to let us know how TFCon
Oh,
is. Like,
yeah.
Emerald
Oh,
City
trust me, I will.
is a known entity, but Transformers Con, I'm
Wait,
stoked
are
for
there
you.
any celebrities you're gonna see at Emerald City next week?
Yes, I am going to meet Chris Evans again. I'm going to have him sign my Mjolnir hammer. If they let me take,
Nice.
I'm hoping they let me take it in because it's like a legit like weapon, like heavy hammer. So, but it's just a prop, so hopefully it's fine. But I got a backup
You get
just in case.
arrested.
Yeah, they won't let me get past the metal detectors. But yeah, that he's the only one. I think there's a lot of Lord of the Rings cast is there. And side note, I know we're running over here, but I did not know what Critical Role was until September. And when we went to Rose City Comic Con, and I saw this mob of people going the opposite direction where we were going, and apparently it was the Critical Role panel, and no idea what it was. But I guess they're all going to be at Emerald City, and everything for them sold out just like super quick.
Wow.
Yeah, they're huge. Yeah.
No idea.
Are you a comic book guy?
Yes.
Nathan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. I have a collection too that I'm hiding, but that's a whole nother rabbit hole, I guess. And Chris and I used to collect comic books too. I got him into Spider-Man and
Nice.
Chris.
Nice.
I know it's not video games, but
I don't have my collection anymore. I sold
what'd
it.
you do with your collection?
I sold it.
You sold it?
Yeah.
Nice.
It would just became one of those things where we were constantly moving places.
Yeah.
So I had to sell my DVD collection. I had over 900 movies.
He had a huge collection. Yeah.
Sold my comic books, had to sell all my books because, got to the point where I had like 20 boxes filled with books. They were always heavy to move. And so I bought a Kindle, kind of did that. And
Oh, we lost him.
Oh,
Oh no.
He's gone.
Wife cut him out.
Yeah, well, it's nice having you,
we'll
Chris.
get him back. But anyway,
yeah, I've got like 2 boxes of comics, so I still have mine from back in like middle school or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not too much of a burden. But after I can imagine hauling 10 times as many boxes would be no thanks.
Sure. What happened?
Apparently, I was talking about something the internet didn't like.
Didn't like it. Yeah.
Russians took you out, man.
Yeah,
Censored.
But yeah, I miss my old school like book collection. There's something about reading a actual physical book over the Kindle.
Sure. The graininess of the paper and like the faded ink prints and stuff. Yeah, that's not can't be done.
Yeah. So I don't have any of that anymore. I was gonna mention I just saw this. Sony's being faced with a $7.9 billion lawsuit over price gouging. They just went ahead and I guess
that's in Europe, isn't it?
It might be. I mean, it was.
I think that's where I saw that. Yeah,
it was filed by an Alex Neal, but I guess this morning they went ahead and the courts decided they're going to proceed with the case.
So, I think I saw that. That's in the EU. So, yeah. Well, let's keep an eye on that. I'm all about keeping track on video game news, so that's huge.
Yeah. So there's that.
But Chris, do you have any final thoughts for tonight? Anything you want to plug? Let's plug your YouTube channel again.
You can find me at ASOJax on YouTube. I put up movie reviews and video games once a week.
He sees every movie, Eric.
And then of course I've got useless videos I'll put up there too. So
nice. Let's talk Dune. I got tickets for Dune on Sunday.
I'm gonna reread the book before I go see the second part.
Yeah, me and Kevin Hartman and some other Jeremy Wright, some other guys, we all read it together before the first movie came out.
Yeah,
reread it. Yeah, it's definitely worth reading. My recommendation would be there's an appendix where it talks about the planetologist Liet Kynes. Read that first and then jump into the main text of the book. That's my Dune recommendation.
We'll have to go back and redo it. But I thought they did a good job with the first part. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll have seen Dune 2 as of Sunday, and we can chat about that movie next time.
I guess I haven't even seen Dune 1, so I remember seeing parts of the original Dune. So
yeah, the David Lynch one.
Yeah.
I actually really like the David. I understand why the critics don't like it, but I was a kid when it came out. You know, it has a lot of nostalgia for me. The music in it is great. The casting is great. David Lynch is crazy, and that's fun to watch. So you can't convince me it's a bad film.
If you guys want me to, I will go back. I will watch the Dune 1. So
yeah, no, the original David Lynch Dune is enjoyable. I really love the box special effects for the armor. You know.
Yeah, the shield tech for sure.
Well, back in the day, that's entertaining. I want to pick up the documentary on Jodorowsky's Dune, though.
Jodorowsky, yeah. I never saw that documentary, but I do want to see it because I think his idea was to cast Salvador Dali.
Yes.
And, just David Bowie was going to be Fade Rotha.
Yeah.
So pretty cool casting, and art direction looked amazing for that. Because Geiger, the guy who did Alien, all the look of the Alien movies. I forget his first name. H.R. Geiger. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. He was doing a lot of the work for. He was doing a lot of work for Jodorowsky's Dune. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna wrap up the show, but it's been a great show. Thank you so much, guys.
Nice talking to you. This is great.
If you're watching, give this video a like. Let's help share what we're going on here. I think we got some good conversations and some really good people here. Consider subscribing to my channel. We're almost to 700, and we'll continue to make this an ongoing thing, and I appreciate all you guys. So that's all I got.
Peace out, man.
Peace out. All right. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Yep.
All right.